Property is the highest right. You agreed to fiction and put on the chains yourself. Welcome, my brothers and sisters in mankind, my fellow fractals in source. Welcome and thank you. So that feels like a real kind of punch in the gut that you agreed to fiction and put on the chains yourself, especially when you didn't understand what you were agreeing to. So I, as the woman, have had numerous relationships with those of the personality structure that we know as vulnerable or fragile narcissism. These are behaviors. And the reason why I'm getting into this, because it very much has to do with property as the highest right and your sovereignty as a man or woman. So just bear with me. Listen closely. This is for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. So through a lifetime, you can tell I'm been on this earth in this incarnation for a while now. And having these relationships, I learned about myself. They taught me how to love myself. And here's the trick. Because I have followed a path of know thyself, the kingdom of heaven is within. I knew that these are other fellow fractals of source and that we're all one. So there's no way that you can't harm yourself by harming others. So we have to come to peace. And then I learned and I understood that I could have a choice about who I wanted to be in relationship with and just walk away. If you're anybody who's had experiences with the personality structure of narcissism, in some cases, just walking away means taking some mighty big losses, some mighty big hits, and then recouping, because you know who you are. You know the kingdom of heaven is within, and you know you can. So if this is your first introduction to me and the work of I, then you got to be watching my other content, because I will speak very little about this. This is the controversy. So here it goes. Property is the highest right. There are 5 points here I'm going to cover real quickly. I'm going to get into the last one the most. I'm going to put this in the community tab. So if you're not joined to this channel, then please do so. And get that first. Copy, paste, print it out for yourself, write it down, look at it while you're watching the video, however that will work for you from one device to another. Because I don't have the capability just yet of experience to put all that stuff up in my videos, and at one point I will, but it's not now. Property is the highest right. The next point is fiction replacing reality. The next point is certificates and the crown's dominion. And the next point, number 4, is trusts and the inversion of roles. And then the last one is the holistic view. Property is the highest right. You agreed to fiction and put on the chains yourself. Yeah. You have to sit with that one for a while if you're new to this. And I'm really sorry because it's going to upset you. A man or a woman comes into the world with body, breath, labor, and his or her capacity to create. We are co-creators with Source. That's property. Property is inviolate. No one can take it without consent or without remedy owed. Every other right rests on property, because if you own yourself, your fruits, and your creations, you're sovereign. Number 2, fiction replacing reality. This is what we did not understand we were consenting to. Men and women make agreements between one another. Contracts may or may not be between men and women. Most often they're between corporate entities. So instead of interacting with men and women directly, a corporate structure was created. Anything intangible like a concept, a government, is going to be a fiction. Because the thing is, there is no government. There's only man or woman acting as, and then fill in the blank. We can't be a role or a title because it's intangible. We can only embody and bring that embodiment into the world. It's flesh. It's flesh and blood. It's who we were created to have this experience of men and women as souls. Instead of interacting with men and women directly, a corporate structure was created. It is fiction, an abstract entity with no life, no body, no breath, right? But with rules. Titles and roles. Men and women were put into positions. Take no title. Sometimes you'll hear me say that in my videos. Take no title. As soon as you take a title, you have diminished yourself. We forgot who we are, and we diminish ourselves. We allow others to diminish us. We live in a real physical reality where it is lack, limitation, and suffering. It doesn't need to be this way. It's really just about us waking up and remembering who we are and making the choice to live from who we are. We could get into that. Let's jump on to, because there's 3 points under each one, 3 certificates and the crown's dominion. Where once property was absolute, man, land, woman, home, body, labor, just examples, corporate fictions introduced certificates of title. And we're so comfortable with these that it's that line in the Matrix where he says to Neo, Morpheus says to Neo that he's going to, or that you can't, they will fight to keep their chains on. It's not what he says, but that's the gist of it. You can't, they're going to be your enemies because they can't see. They love their servitude. And that's okay, because free will to come here and express and have the life that your soul chose before you incarnated, that's what it is. Love can't be love if it dictates, right? Everybody has a right to exist and accept what they want for themselves. So if they're not questioning it, it's not my work to wake anybody else up. If they want to join me because they're in remembrance of who they are themselves, then this video is for you and you're still here. And those who aren't here don't want it. They're not interested. They're fine with their chains, and they don't even feel like chains to them. They love it. That's great. It works for them. There's nothing wrong. They're going to be in different timelines. You get to choose your reality, whether you're going to express as love, right? Created in the image of God, the only reality there is, or you're going to live in the distortion, because anything that's not love is a distortion. So love it. I just recorded a YouTube short on why the shadow is so important to get into and to do the shadow work. The inversion here is the certificate is not the property itself. It's evidence of registration. See, we used to record everything in Bibles or some kind of, family passed on from generation to generation. That's the point here. The point isn't the book itself. Because what we're doing now as we move into the new earth in 5D is we're letting go of false narratives and belief systems and all of those that keep us confined, defined, limited. So this creates a split. You think you own the car, the land, whatever it is, but on paper, the crown is sovereign. It's the grantor, and you are only tenant or holder. So the result is actual ownership is displaced. Control remains with the corporate fiction unless you stand in law as man or woman. Now, this is what all my videos are about, is true law. It's simple. You can hear me say that a lot. It's really basic. Do no harm. It's the law of love. And you know you're one with everything. You want to bring that to earth, heaven. So number 4 is trust in the inversion of roles. Original trust principle is the creator, God or source. Hands it down to man or woman, right? Man or woman is then the beneficiary. And then the trustees are meant to serve mankind, the fiction that we put in place so that we can govern ourselves, right? But I did a video on that, the toroid of love. I'll link that one. I'll make a note to link that one. Trustees are meant to serve mankind. When we set up a structure, it's not supposed to be pyramidal shape, right? It's not a hierarchy. I did a video on that too. It's the shape of a toroid where it just keeps feeding into itself. And that just goes on and on and on in simplicity, in peace, in love, where everybody's needs are met accordingly. That's a topic of the video or part of the video. The inversion is that corporations declare themselves beneficiaries. So man and woman is tricked into acting as the person and then being in the trustee role, the legal fiction created at birth via certificates. Instead of the governance that you set up to serve you, you're made to serve it. And remedy flows upward then instead of downward to you, because that's the pyramid and hierarchy. This is what we're shifting and is crumbling. Okay? There's no need to be longing for that. And we do this. The unknown is it's difficult to move into. It's difficult to let go of the known and to move into the unknown. I'm pretty good at the shadow work and seeing things with a different perspective. I'll tell you, we're in this together. So then we get to the holistic view. Property, who you are, what you create. Law is very simple. It's very basic. When you know who you are, you just naturally live it. Fiction inserts itself between you and your property by redefining you as a person, a corporate role, registering your property under titles, certificates, numbers, and flipping the trust. So then the agencies or the governance becomes the beneficiary, and you become trustee. So when you know who you are, then we can move into councils, right? Guardianship of one another in councils, where there are no leaders, where there is no absence of reciprocity. So the fear-based control paradigms are crumbling. This is good news. And part of what I look forward to doing is working together with my brothers and sisters in mankind so that we understand who we are. And in that remembrance, we make choices that are reciprocal. And we have that toroidal flow of society. So sequentially, number one, you're born with property. Number two, fiction overlays reality through corporate governance. And there is no government. There are only men and women acting as blank, fill in the blank. You can't be a uniform. You can't be a title. You embody truth or you live choosing controversy. When you're done with controversy, when you realize how it doesn't serve you, then you choose accordingly. And this platform is here for those of us, men and women, who choose love, to remember the truth of who we are, and to live with law, do no harm, the law of one. 3, titles and certificates replace real ownership. And you got to watch the words, the adjectives in there. Have you ever heard of word salad with narcissism? So trusts are inverted, so you serve the fiction. 5, remedy is to remember and stand as men and women. So it's a matter of shifting our perspective and coming to seeing things as they are, so we can choose otherwise. You got to bring the light to the shadow. and shadow and light are part of duality. However, the true reality is love. So, distortion or love. There's only love. If it's not love, it's a distortion of love. That's some variance of frequency that's not the frequency of love. Kind of confusing. Very confusing. Just, this is why when you're in a relationship with any narcissistic energy, the only way to win is not to play. So, what you put your attention to and intention on from a quantum view creates. That's your power. That's your power to create from who you are, because you choose to embody it.